My name is DaniEllisVision, and this is the creepy-deepy, spooky-ooky, dimensional jumping.
Well, hang on, you know DaniEllisVision?
I had first heard about dimensional jumping maybe 4 or 5 years ago. This was the same time that I found out about the Mandela Effect, and being someone who has had a YouTube account for many years but does not post on it regularly, or had not posted on it regularly, sorry, let me use past tense with that. I had so many ideas in my head of videos that I wanted to make, and the Mandela Effect was like on the top of the list of things that I wanted to make a video about because I thought it was so interesting and so weird but yet so captivating. And at this point, I am obviously, well, maybe not so obviously, but I am not going to make a video on that because it has been beaten to death and resurrected and pulverized and so on and so forth, and I would sooner beat myself to death than put another one of those videos on the internet. But I find that dimensional jumping is in a similar realm to that. So if you are interested in the Mandela Effect or you believe in the Mandela Effect, this may be something that could intrigue you. So the concept behind dimensional jumping, or what you need to subscribe to in order for dimensional jumping to exist or to be true, the idea is that there are infinite dimensions, and so being there are infinite versions of myself that may vary greatly or vary in a much lesser sense. Dimensional jumping is transferring yourself to another dimension, and in doing so you are switching places with the you that exists there. So many people think that it's true and think that they have the power to do this, and this is not a video about me saying whether I believe in it or not, or debunking it or not. I'm merely explaining it as I think it serves as such an interesting conversation piece. Regardless of how I feel about it, which I honestly and truly don't know how I feel about it, it freaks me the out. Honestly. I'll begin by explaining the steps in which you can jump dimensions if you want to. I'm just gonna put out a word of caution. Of course, I don't know how you feel about this, but you know, it's not to be taken lightly, I guess. Same thing as a Ouija board. If you don't want the consequences, probably don't attempt it to begin with. This is something I have never tried and will never try. Now, the first thing that they specify is the best time to attempt to jump dimensions is between 12 and 3 a.m. It could be any time of the day, but this is the time that it's most effective. Before you attempt to jump, write down a number. Kind of think of it like a locker combination. It would probably be best to do something significant like a date or something that you will remember. So in between the hours of 12 and 3 a.m., put yourself in front of a mirror. Theoretically, a mirror that you could walk through. A full-size mirror would be best. Turn out all the lights and light a simple candle in front of you as you sit in front of the mirror. Stare intently at your reflection. You can think of a place or a time or something that you want to improve upon. Focus in on that. You are supposed to look into the mirror not as if this is your reflection, but as if this is another you. Do this for however long you can until you notice some sort of change. People report feeling movement in themselves, seeing their reflection blink, or seeing their reflection move when they haven't, feeling something substantial that they hadn't felt before. And I know that does sound really arbitrary. That's totally a trick your mind can be playing on you. I know that there is that thing where if you stare at your reflection long enough, it becomes demonic. So after you're waiting for this substantial change, or at least doing it for a certain length of time, you can retire to bed, I guess. A lot of people say that they experience a change immediately afterwards, but a lot of people also say that it doesn't happen until the next morning after they go to sleep and wake up again. You're gonna want to look for very small changes in your everyday life. There are infinite versions of you. There are infinite worlds seemingly almost exactly like our own, but with very small changes, and you're going to need to be very observant in order to notice these acute changes. Some people say it's something as small as something that they pass every day on their way to work isn't there all of a sudden. Some people say that it's as big as their hair is a different cut or their room is a different color. You want to look for things that are abnormal to you. The changes can be so small, from having Roman numerals on your watch to having actual numbers, or can be so big that before your parents were alive and well, and now they're both dead and buried, you know? Where the number that you wrote down comes into play in this is apparently if you have jumped dimensions, sometimes the number has changed. If you wrote down a specific, combination and the numbers aren't what you remember them. That's why it's so important to, know exactly what the numbers were, obviously. So you're not like, oh, maybe that 8 was a 3. I think I jumped, man. But if you have jumped dimensions, this number may be different, and that's a sure sign that you have jumped dimensionally. Those are pretty much the basics. I've read some crazy stories, and people will say what they want on Reddit, I guess, but it doesn't ever fail to creep me out and make my skin shaky, bakey, and quaky, because shaky, bakey, and quaky. Imagine your life and imagine what you would want to be better. I'm focusing on myself with just a little bit of a better job, or a better relationship with my significant other, or with a little more money. With any change can come so many other changes. I kind of think of this as like in all those movies when there's those genies that want to trick you. You wish to run super, super fast, so they give you 1,000,000 legs. Grass is always greener on the other side. Be careful what you wish for, type of thing. Just because you're getting one benefit doesn't mean that you're not going to experience a million other negatives. The legitimacy of this, I'm not debating. I'm simply putting it out there as something that I've always found super interesting and always thought about, and it's a Reddit page that I always go back to read people's experiences. And if you have ever attempted this, I 100% want to hear from you. If you think that you've successfully done so, I would love to read a comment from you. I can promise you this, I do not think my life would ever be so bad that I would risk all of the good to jump dimensionally. But that is just me. I will not jump dimensions. That was not even Alyssa Edwards. That was just some crazy person.
DaniEllisVision.